The means of defense agst. Foreign danger have been always the instruments of tyranny at home. The advancement of science and the diffusion of information is the best element to true liberty. The purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe in blood for centuries. Letter objecting to the use of government land for churches, 1803. There are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachments of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations. Philosophy is common sense with big words. Wherever the real power in a government lies, there is the danger of oppression. In our governments, the real power lies in the majority of the community, and the invasion of private rights is chiefly to be apprehended, not from the acts of government, contrary to the sense of its constituents, but from acts in which the government is the mere instrument of the major number of the constituents. James Madison, Letters and Other Writings of James Madison, Volume 3. The truth is that all men having power ought to be mistrusted. It may not be easy, in every possible case, to trace the line of separation between the rights of religion and the civil authority with such distinctness as to avoid collisions and doubts on unessential points. The tendency to usurpation on one side or the other, or to a corrupting coalition or alliance between them, will be best guarded agst. by an entire abstinence of the government from interference in any way whatsoever beyond the necessity of preserving public order and protecting each sect agst. Trespasses on its legal rights by others. Letter to the Reverend Jasper Adams. January 1, 1832. James Madison, Letters and Other Writings of James Madison, Volume 3. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. James Madison, The Constitution of the United States of America. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. Knowledge will forever govern ignorance, and a people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power knowledge gives. A popular government without popular information, or the means of acquiring it, is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both. It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read, or so incoherent that they cannot be understood. Americans have the right and advantage of being armed, unlike the citizens of other countries whose governments are afraid to trust the people with arms. I cannot undertake to lay my finger on that article of the Constitution which granted a right to Congress of expending, on objects of benevolence, the money of their constituents. Charity is no part of the legislative duty of the government. The Constitution preserves the advantage of being armed which Americans possess over the people of almost every other nation, where the governments are afraid to trust the people with arms, the means of defense against foreign danger have been always the instruments of tyranny at home. Among the Romans, it was a standing maxim to excite a war whenever a revolt was apprehended. Throughout all Europe, the armies kept up under the pretext of defending have enslaved the people. James Madison, Notes of Debates in the Federal Convention of 1787 reported, religious bondage shackles and debilitates the mind and unfits it for every noble enterprise, every expanded prospect. Letter to William Bradford, Jr., April 1, 1774. James Madison. Letters and Other Writings of James Madison. Volume 3. History records that the money changers have used every form of abuse, intrigue, deceit, and violent means possible to maintain their control over governments by controlling money and its issuance. The powers delegated by the proposed Constitution to the federal government are few and defined. Those which are to remain in the state governments are numerous and indefinite. The former will be exercised principally on external objects as war, peace, negotiation, and foreign commerce. The powers reserved to the several states will extend to all the objects which in the ordinary course of affairs concern the lives and liberties and properties of the people and the internal order, improvement, and prosperity of the state.